Imagine the environment of Cyberpunk with the movement of Mirror's Edge and a soundtrack so good that your eyes will pop out and say, "Damn, that slaps." Ghostrunner. This game is pure adrenaline pumping fun. The enemies all die in one hit, but so do you. This game is unforgiving at times, but that's what makes it so satisfying to overcome. I'll be playing through the game normally to enjoy it, then I'll go through level select and pick up any miscellaneous trophies and collectibles. Then after that, we got the DLC Project Hell to go through. For now, let's start at the beginning, where our character is waking up from a long nap. There's a voice in our head that'll serve as a tutorial of sorts. It shows us simple things like sliding, dashing through obstacles, and sensory boosting to dodge projectiles. Most enemy encounters have a door that's locked that won't open until every enemy is dead. If there's a group of 5 enemies, then they all have to be taken out in one life. This is where that one-hit system comes in full force. Every basic enemy, called keys, will die to one sword slash, but if I get caught off guard and shot, then I'm dead. The game is lenient and puts a checkpoint before every encounter, so I'm never put too far back, but it can feel demoralizing if there's one enemy left and he catches me with my pants down. Think of this game like a puzzle platformer in first person when it comes to encounters like these. Since this is the first level, there's only one big group of enemies before the level finishes. The next level introduces another mechanic, with it being a grapple hook. This is also where I find the first collectible. They all look like a yellow question mark. I'm not going for all of them this playthrough, but any I find casually will save me some time later. In the next room, I find 5 enemies, and this is where I pop my first trophy. I got it by killing 5 enemies in 10 seconds using only my sword. A lot is happening in just a few minutes because now I'm releasing the voice that was in our head. This is the architect and he takes us to the cyber void. We'll be here a few times throughout the game. We're done with that and now heading to another cyber void terminal in the city. On the way, I equip some upgrades, one being to see collectibles on my minimap and meet Zoe, kind of. We just hear her voice. She's the one basically responsible for us being alive. She'll help us out throughout the game as well. More enemy slashing later and I get to the next Cyber Void terminal. From this point, most times I'm here, I'll get a new skill. This time, I got Blink, an ability that lets me slice through multiple enemies in an instant. This is the last group of enemies, which I did struggle a bit on before finding a path to disable their shields. After this, I beeline it to the end of the level. I learned Zoe and her group called my character Jack because he was jacked up when they found him, so that's what I'll call my character now. This level is just normal enemies with nothing special in it. By the end, Zoe tells us the keys are planning to shut down the air filters in Sector 5. If that happens, then everyone who lives there dies. Obviously, we can't let that happen, so we're changing course to the air filters to stop them. I log into another Cyber Void terminal and there's 2 puzzles to fix the air filters. This one kinda confused me until I figured out the sides don't move if they're not connected to the middle. Then I just guessed what looked best until I solved it. When I left Cyber Void, I got a trophy for fixing the air filters. Now that Sector 5 is safe, I backtrack through the level and finish it. We got a new mechanic that allows us to hack moving objects. During this level, I unlocked a trophy for running 42 kilometers. This was going to pop eventually. I also entered the Cyber Void again and got another skill, Tempest. This lets me reflect projectiles back at enemies. I did just that against this gecko-like enemy in the next level for a trophy. Now we get to the first boss of the game. Meet T073M, or Tom for short. Since I die in one hit, bosses in this game are more unique. This one in particular is a bullet hell and is focused more on movement. I need to make my way to the top and cut the supporting cords. This is what I like to call the first get good section of the game, because if you don't have the movement down and a good reaction timing, then this boss is going to be hell for you. When the second phase started and the walls were being coated with fire so I couldn't wall run as easily, and I still had to dodge the lasers, my blood was pumping. The music that was bumping throughout the fight made it even more epic. Like, I don't think I can describe how sick the movement is in this game. With both supporting cords cut, this boss fight is done.
Catastrophic core failure imminent.
Wow, Tom is not going down easily. With even more lasers to dodge, I have to destroy both power sources, then explode the core. I also get a trophy for putting Tom out of commission. Man, that boss fight was amazing. Dharma City, here I come. Yeah, it's a wasteland out here. Well, besides enemies that are waiting patiently for me, a lot of enemies. This level is just traversing through the city, mowing down keys. At the beginning of the next level, we see a new type of enemy. He has a sword, and the only way to kill him is to block his slash, then attack him when he's staggered. There's a trophy for blocking their attacks 5 times in a row. There's only one other enemy here, so I figured this was the easiest spot to go for it. I have to go back into Cybervoid and collect some fragments, but when I get out, I see something.
Who was that?
It's another Ghostrunner. My counterpart, says the architect. I have to chase after her while the best track in the OST plays. When I catch up to her, shocking no one, is a boss fight. Like with these enemies, I have to block her attacks enough times to stagger and damage her. The first phase, she attacks twice, and the others, she attacks 6 times. I think I would call this the second get good section, mainly because there's no checkpoints. I was on the last phase and got sniped trying to follow her, and I got sent back to the beginning. That one stung. When I beat her, I got a trophy. That same move she sniped me with earlier, I'm now scanning her head to enter Cybervoid and take that move for myself as a new skill. It's called Surge, and it's a long-range attack I can now use. Deeper inside the tower, I see some new experiments the Keymaster has been working on, and they are disgusting. They're basically ticking time bombs. If I attack or get near them, they explode and take me with them. All I can do is go around them and they'll blow up on their own. Weirdly enough, there's a trophy for killing 74 enemies after jumping off a wall. But I got it when I accidentally slid into these things and they blew us both up. I didn't jump off a wall and they blew themselves up. I don't know why it popped, but I would have gotten it at some other point anyways. I go into another Cybervoid to get my last skill. It's called Overlord, and it's basically mind control. I use it on an enemy, and they become my ally for a bit. When I leave Cybervoid, I get a trophy for unlocking all skills. In the same level, I got another trophy for using 2 different skills in 10 seconds. Usually this isn't possible, but if I use a skill, then die, when I respawn, my skill meter is full for me to use a different skill. I got this by accident. I was just struggling in this encounter. At the beginning of the next level, there's a segment with 10 of these things with a shuriken power-up. There's a trophy for killing 10 enemies in a row without sentry boost. It's almost like this spot was made specifically for this trophy. Now pay attention to this, because I got 4 trophies back to back. Remember how I said if I died, then my skill meter goes back to full? I'm going to abuse that mechanic here. There's this spot with 5 of these sword enemies, and they'll be my guinea pigs for this. First, I killed 3 of them with a single use of Surge, then I killed 3 of them with a single use of Blink, and then 3 of them again with a single use of Tempest. Finally, I used Overlord a few times to make enemies kill 4 of their allies. There's an enemy called a Splitter that, get this, splits into 5 clones of itself. There's a trophy for killing one before it can split. I put on some upgrades to extend the distance and size of Surge to make this easy. This encounter is perfect for another trophy. I have to kill 3 enemies with 1 falling drone. Conveniently, there's a platform here with 3 enemies next to a drone. Once I get lucky and not get shot while trying to do this, I get the trophy. Then it's just basic platforming until the level ends. The next level is only a boss fight against the big bad of the game, the Keymaster.
So, do you even know what drives you, Puppet?
This fight is already easier than Hell's since it actually has checkpoints. Her attacks are using her tentacles as a sweep, slamming a tentacle down, and digging underground to attack from below. Eventually, she'll switch to a move that tries to impale me. I need to position myself between her and a transformer and dodge as she attacks, so a tentacle gets caught in the transformer. I slash her tentacle off and we're on to phase 2. Pieces of the floor start to become electrified until the whole floor gets covered, and I need to wall run until it stops. Then the same attacks as phase 1 happen while I'm dodging the electric floor. She tries to impale me again, and the same thing as before happens. Phase 3 is just phase 1 and 2 combined. The same attacks are happening, except now half the floor is electrified and it's spinning, so I have to dodge all the attacks from phase 1 while moving with the floor so I don't get shocked. I'm happy there's checkpoints. Surviving long enough will get her to try and impale me again, only for the same thing to happen. They never learn. The Keymaster is defeated and I get a trophy for beating her. Now that she's gone, that's it. Mission complete.
Congratulations. We can now proceed to the next stage of my plan. Allow me to do the honors.
What are you doing?
What's going on? The architect is trying to steal my body for himself. I get shoved back into Cybervoid and see the wall the architect is using to take over. This whole level is the 3rd Get Good section. If you don't have the movement down pat, then this level is going to be hell. No pun intended. There's no enemies. The only goal is to climb up the tower and not get caught by the enclosing wall. The architect is making damn sure it's not an easy climb. So many jumps back and forth. The Century boost comes in clutch to slow down time and save myself from falling. After what feels like the longest climb in history, I get boosted all the way up the tower. As soon as I get up here, I pop a trophy for climbing the tower. At last, we get to meet the architect face to face. He tries to threaten us, saying we can't live without him. Let's test that theory.
I forbid you, Ghostrunner!
My name is Jack.
God, I love that line. So it looks like he may have not been bluffing. Jack shuts down and the game ends. We actually see what Zoe looks like in the ending cutscene. It's too bad Jack's gone. Nah, I'm just kidding. Of course he's alive. The ending shows him still kicking in there somewhere. That and there is a sequel. I've now beaten the game, but I'm not done yet. I still have some miscellaneous and collectible trophies to get. After beating the game, I unlock an assist mode, which basically gives me a shield that can take 1 hit. I'll be using this to make my life easier. Let's start with the first level again. I can combine 2 trophies here. I need to get 23 kills without dying, and beat a level without dying. The first level is only a few minutes long with little enemies. If I beat the first level, then restart it, my kills will carry over. I basically have to beat the first level twice without dying. I have all my skills, so this is a piece of cake. When I beat the level for the first time, I get the trophy for beating any level without dying, and on my second go, I get the trophy for killing 23 enemies without dying. These next two trophies are also similar. They're both about reflecting bullets with my sword. I'm still in the first level since I can single out some enemies to make this easier. I put on an upgrade to help with timing, and I just sit here trying to block bullets. Good thing I have a shield. Blocking 5 bullets in a row gets me the trophy. In the same encounter, I switch up my upgrades to use a deflect module since I need to kill enemies with bullets reflected back at them. I farm these 2 enemies until eventually the trophy pops for killing 30 enemies with reflected bullets. Back in the upgrades menu, there's a trophy for filling it out completely. Since I have every upgrade available, I just slot them in until every space is filled and the trophy pops. Fast forward to level 3 where I encountered the first shielded enemy. Here is the best place to get a kind of weird trophy. I have to dash, wall run, slide, and gap jammer all within 1 second. The best order to do this in is dash, slide, gap jammer, wall run. And if I do it fast enough, then the trophy pops. Right after this is 2 shield enemies. I have to kill 5 of these guys with skills while they're still shielded. I kill one, die to the other, and repeat. After the 5th kill, the trophy pops. Skipping to level 5 where I encounter the first slugger. I need to kill 3 of these guys while they are still in the air. I wait until they jump and use blink for an easy method. Do it 2 more times, then the trophy pops. About halfway through level 10, I get my first encounter with a sniper. I need to get him without getting near him. Now I don't know how close is too close, so I put on some upgrades to extend the distance of Surge. I was apparently far enough away because I got it first try. Now all that's left is basically just collectibles. Later on, as I'm going through levels, I collected all swords and all audio logs in the same level. Then I noticed I missed an artifact in a previous level, so I had to go back for that to finish off that trophy. And this was the last collectible, so I got another trophy for finding all collectibles. The last trophy is one I thought I would have got a while ago. It's to kill 1000 enemies. I just booted up my favorite level because it has my favorite song playing and went through it a few times. Eventually, I killed my 1000th enemy and popped the trophy, and then my platinum. This game was so much fun and a blast to platinum. I'm actually excited about the DLC because it's a prequel. There's only 7 levels, but don't think it'll be a cakewalk. It bumps up the difficulty, so it'll be a nice challenge after finishing the base game. Project Hell, here I come. The first level is like a testing course, showing us all of Hell's abilities and how they differ from Jack's. For starters, she jumps higher, like a lot higher, and her only skill is Surge. Makes sense since that's all she used during her boss fight. I got my first trophy of the DLC here by staying enraged for 20 seconds. The whole time I was just jumping around because there's a typo that confused me. It says L3 is for Surge, but that is just incorrect. It's actually L2, which is the same as the base game. I wonder how that typo happened. This DLC doesn't have an assisted mode, but it does have something similar baked in. When my surge meter is above 50%, then I become enraged and my deflector shield activates. This lets me take an extra hit before dying, but it depletes my surge meter. Fair trade, I'd say. The rest of the level is just simple enemy encounters that let me get used to Hell's movements. The second level has us exploring the city again in pursuit of Commander Bakunin, someone who's disobeying the Keymaster. Nothing too difficult here, which is good since later I'll have to come back to do this level again as a pacifist. The next level is a boss fight with Bakunin, and my god, this fight made me sit up in my chair. Remember how I said there were 3 Get Good sections in the base game? Consider this the DLC's Get Good section, except crank that number to 11. It starts off the same as Hell's Fight did in the base game, where I have to block a few attacks to stagger and damage him. I do this twice, and that's the end of phase 1, and I get a checkpoint. Phase 2 is a bit different. Bakunin flies in the air and starts throwing bombs while sluggers start spawning in droves. Now, I don't like looking things up while I play through a game for the first time. I feel it spoils the experience if you know what's coming. I figured after a bit of time, Bakunin would come back down and I'd basically repeat phase 1. After many deaths, I started to realize he wasn't coming down, no matter how many sluggers I killed. After 20 minutes of constantly dying, it hit me that I had to kill the sluggers to charge my meter and use Surge on him. Figuring out what to do was maybe 10% of the battle. Executing it was the other 90%, because that one checkpoint I got after phase 1 is the only checkpoint in this whole fight. The constant bombs, sluggers leaping at me, and Bakunin himself shooting me meant I couldn't stand still for a second. There was always something after me, and one hit would kill me. My deflector shield was non-existent, since I'd have to use my meter to use Surge anyways. If you don't believe me about the no checkpoints after phase 1, then feast your eyes on this. This was my best attempt yet, and I was laser focused. I only had to hit him with one more surge. The pressure was getting to me. I missed 2 surges back to back, and Bakunin shot me after I missed the second time. All that progress is gone because now I'm back to the beginning of phase 2. I wouldn't be surprised if this made some people quit because of how difficult it is. I persevered, but it took me a while to get a perfect attempt where I didn't get hit once. You know what? I have no shame. I'll show you how long it took me. It took me 1 hour and 2 minutes for this one boss fight. And if you're curious about how many times I died, here you go. I died 201 times. For comparison, the boss that took me the longest in the base game was Tom, and I finished that level in 15 minutes with 97 deaths. They cranked up the difficulty to the max for this boss. When I finally beat him, I got 2 trophies. One for, of course, beating him, but the other one was for beating him in less than 3 minutes. I don't know how 62 minutes is less than 3 minutes, but maybe it means for the successful attempt only, it took less than 3 minutes? I don't know how to feel about that knowledge, since now I know I was dying for an hour straight. Thankfully, this is the hardest the DLC gets. Every level until the end is just mowing down basic enemies. I even found Jack before he woke up. He's still sleeping, so Hell doesn't see him as a threat. She even gives him his sword back. So nice. The level starts in the same place the first level of the base game did. Nice callback. The final boss is against the Golem, and this guy is a joke compared to Bakunin. He has lasers and blaster shots I have to dodge until the platform he's on becomes safe to land on. When it does, I land behind him and start slashing a battery on the back of his leg to charge my Surge meter. Then I use Surge on one of the canisters to damage him. For phase 2, he jumps around until landing back in his original spot, and I damage him the same way. Now this boss fight becomes a bullet hell that I have to survive until a cutscene plays. Restraint mode gets disabled for Hell, and I have unlimited Surge meter. Doesn't apply to my shield though, because that'd be broken. I just spam Surge until the boss fight is over and I get a trophy.
I'll make you pay for all the years spent in chains, for all the...
Plot twist, the hell we fought in the main game isn't this hell. The Keymaster had another one cloned to replace this one, and the hell we played as throws herself into the lava so the Keymaster never knows about Jack's existence. The DLC ends with the same words that started the base game.
You're alive.
Amazing. I have a few more trophies to get, so let's knock those out. I said this before, but I have to beat level 2 as a pacifist. I just hop and jump around everyone until the level ends for the trophy. Then I have to beat level 5 without upgrades. I make sure to take them off before starting the level, otherwise it won't count. Level ends, trophy pops. I have to kill 3 enemies with a single surge while I'm jumping. This is easily done at the beginning of the first level, where all enemies are melee types who only group up. Next, I have to fill my surge meter solely by deflecting projectiles. I equip the Deflect Absorb upgrade and start blocking bullets until the trophy pops. From that trophy, I keep playing level 4 as I need to beat it without using surge on an enemy. Another easy trophy. I also finished all the collectibles for another trophy. The last trophy I need is to beat any level without dying. The same as the trophy from the base game, except here it's much harder. The easiest level is the first, but it's not easy. Most of the enemies can be skipped except the last 2 encounters. This is where most of my attempts died. Altogether, it took me about 30 minutes to beat this level deathless and get the last trophy. This game and its DLC was some of the most fun I've had with a new game IP in a while. I was even bumping the soundtrack while making this video. It's that good. According to the guide I used, the base game should take around 12 hours. However, for the DLC, I used a Steam guide, which has no estimated time. Either way, my PS5 says it took me 18 hours, which sounds accurate to me. I can't believe that of those 18 hours, 1 hour was spent solely on the Bakunin fight. If it isn't obvious, I highly recommend this game. It can be insanely difficult at times, but that's what makes it so satisfying to beat it and come out on top.